What if Masters of the Universe had ended somewhere completely different from the version we got? What if the woman standing in the shadows was never loyal to Skeletor? She was using him the entire time. What if She-Ra arrives on Eternia not as an ally, but as the most dangerous threat Adam has ever faced? And what if the sword that chose Adam made the wrong choice, and Skeletor was the only one who knew it? These are the three alternate endings that would have turned Masters of the Universe from a triumphant origin story into something far more complicated. The versions that would have made you question everything you thought you understood about power, destiny, and who really controls Eternia. Adam has spent his entire adult life on Earth not knowing who he was. A prince in exile, working in human resources, trying to fit into a world that was never his. The Sword of Power was lost, Eternia was conquered, and Skeletor ruled Castle Grayskull with the certainty of a man who believed he had already won. Coming home after 15 years meant coming home to a kingdom that did not recognize its own prince. Adam was not the hero anyone expected. He was not physically imposing. He was not naturally fearless. He was someone who had spent years learning to listen, to think, to find solutions that did not require overwhelming force. That turned out to be exactly what Eternia needed. The road to defeating Skeletor cost Adam everything he had just found. His father, King Randor, died during the battle. Mossman died because Skeletor needed to make an example. And then Adam found the truth the sorceress had been protecting. The sword does not give power. It never did. Adam was always powerful. The sword just made it visible. Skeletor was defeated. Eternia was freed. Evil-Lyn retrieved Skeletor's skull. And somewhere else entirely, a figure in a red cape turned toward a camera that never showed her face. That is the story the film told. Here are the three versions that would have changed everything. Twist 1. Evil-Lyn was never loyal to Skeletor. She was using him. The film gives us Evil-Lyn as a villain who serves Skeletor until the tide turns against him. The post-credits scene frames her retrieval of his skull as loyalty. But what if it was never loyalty? What if it was the final move in a plan she had been executing for years? In this version, Evil-Lyn did not serve Skeletor because she believed in him. She served him because Skeletor was the most effective tool available for destabilizing Eternia. She needed the kingdom weakened. She needed the old power structures broken. She needed someone to do the messy, expensive work of tearing down what existed so that something new could be built in its place. Skeletor did all of that, and then, precisely on schedule, Adam arrived to defeat him. Evil-Lyn let that happen. She could have intervened at several points in the final battle. She chose not to, because a dead Skeletor is no longer useful, and a victorious He-Man who believes he has saved Eternia is exactly the right kind of distracted. Evil-Lyn retrieving the skull is not grief, it is inventory management. She has the skull, she has Skeletor's knowledge stored inside it, and she has a kingdom that just exhaled in relief, lowered its guard, and started celebrating. The final scene is Evil-Lyn alone in a room that was hers long before Skeletor ever arrived. She places the skull on a shelf. She turns to a map of Eternia, and she begins. That is the ending that would have made Evil-Lyn the most dangerous villain in the franchise's history, and the one that nobody saw coming. Twist 2. She-Ra is not an ally. The post-credits scene is designed to generate excitement. A red cape, a sword with a blue gem, an iconic silhouette that every fan of the original series recognizes immediately. The implication is clear. She-Ra is coming, and she is on the side of the good guys. But what if she is not? In this version, Adora arrives on Eternia with her own agenda. Not evil, not corrupted, but operating from a completely different set of values that put her directly at odds with Adam. She has seen what happens to worlds that depend too heavily on a single chosen hero. She has watched entire civilizations collapse because they waited for the right person with the right sword instead of building systems that could protect themselves. Her sword of protection was not created to work alongside Adam's sword of power. It was created as a counterweight to it, a check on the kind of unchecked heroic authority that the sword of power represents. When Adora arrives and Adam tries to welcome her as a partner, she declines, not because she hates him, because she understands something he does not yet. That Eternia does not need another chosen one. It needs to stop needing chosen ones entirely. The conflict between He-Man and She-Ra is not a battle. It is an argument about what freedom actually means, and whether a kingdom saved by one person's power is actually free at all. Neither of them wins the argument. They both have a point, and Eternia has to decide which kind of future it wants. That is the ending that would have made the Masters of the Universe sequel the most interesting conversation in fantasy film in years. Twist 3. The Sword Chose Wrong. The sorceress tells Adam the truth in the film's climax. The sword does not give power. Adam was always powerful. The sword recognized something in him that was already there. But the sorceress has been protecting Castle Grayskull for a very long time. She has made difficult choices under impossible pressure, and she is not infallible. In this version, the sword did not choose Adam because he was the right person. It chose him because he was available, because he was the first person with enough good intent to touch it without destroying himself. Qualifying was not the same as being optimal. Skeletor knew this, not because he was jealous, because he had studied the sword longer than anyone. He understood that its selection process was designed for a world that no longer existed. In this version, Skeletor's goal was never to rule Eternia. It was to hold Castle Grayskull until the right person arrived, someone whose power was genuine rather than borrowed, someone who could protect Eternia from the thing that Skeletor had been keeping at bay since before Adam was born. When Adam defeats Skeletor, he does not just defeat a tyrant. He removes the only barrier between Eternia and something Skeletor understood and Adam does not. Evil-Lyn is not retrieving a trophy. She is retrieving the last person who knew what was actually coming. The final scene is Adam standing in the ruins of Castle Grayskull, sword in hand, surrounded by cheering citizens. He has saved Eternia. He has done exactly what he was supposed to do. And somewhere in the deep dark at the edge of the known universe, something that has been waiting for the barrier to fall begins to move. That is the ending that would have turned Masters of the Universe from an origin story into the first chapter of something much larger and much darker than anyone expected. So which version of Masters of the Universe would have hit you hardest? Evil-Lyn, revealed as the real architect of everything, and Skeletor, just a tool she was always planning to discard. She-Ra, arriving not as an ally, but as the counterweight to everything He-Man represents. Or the sword having chosen wrong, and Skeletor being the only one who understood what Adam had just accidentally unleashed. Drop your choice in the comments. Tell us which version would have changed everything. And subscribe for more alternate endings and the stories that Hollywood decided were too complicated to tell. By the power of Grayskull. But maybe not by the right hands.